Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of CantoSense. We're here to embrace Chinese culture for Christian living. Asians, and specifically Chinese people, are known in films to be very good at martial arts. Now, that might be a stereotype or it might partially be true, but the deeper question is, should we as Christians be engaging in martial arts? Knowing that the background stems from Buddhism, Taoism, is there a spiritual element within martial arts? We're so glad to have a returning guest join us today. Well, we want to give a warm CantoSense welcome to Pak Wah, who is joining us again. He is the principal of Biblical Graduate School of Theology in Singapore, a church historian, an author, and also a student of Chinese culture. Welcome back, Pak Wah.
Is one of those frequently asked questions: should or could followers of Jesus engage in martial arts as a form of exercise, or even be more serious about it, and actually use it as a form of self-defense?
You will hear that some people say you cannot dabble in any kind of martial arts. But the reality is that a lot of our biblical heroes fight very well. So in the Christian tradition, martial arts never be an issue, but how you use it is an issue. Right? Chinese martial arts has the problem because it's bound up with Chinese religion, it's bound up with maybe yin-yang talk, a discussion about change, bian. I'm more familiar with my research on Wing Chun and even Tai Chi. What's mentioned during your training is quite interestingly, how should you position your arm? Your arm must be angled at 135 degrees to maximize your punch. Your punch must be coordinated with your whole structure of the body so that to have maximum punch. And underlying that is purely physics.
What about, for example, Shaolin Temple Kung Fu? Again, Hollywood portrays a lot of that. A lot of the practice for the student to learn involves also meditation and things like that. So the question has been, so can someone who is a follower of Jesus even learn something like Shaolin Kung Fu?
Most of us will never get to go to Shaolin and practice Kung Fu there. What we should deal with is the kind of martial arts that you encounter in training studios. And most of these have been demythologized. So you're just learning techniques, grappling techniques, punching techniques, and you do it for health. It's a bit like Americanized yoga, which the yogi is quite irritated with because the Americans took out all the philosophical, the religious aspect of it. Martial arts in a typical studio, what you actually see in practice most often is Confucian filial piety. You respect your elders, your siheng, the elder disciples. You respect your sifu, your teachers. But in that sense, that respect is no different from the kind of respect you expect in Chinese families.
So it's actually a discipline for us to learn these good values.
To perform and therefore learn Confucian filial piety. The only issue when it comes out is when, how do you express your filial piety to the ancestral lineage? It's not unique to martial arts. So you don't get discussions about Taoism as a religion, but when those few practitioners do, you can avoid them. In Tai Chi training, you're also concerned about the religious element. And I actually think that you should be more concerned about training properly so that you don't injure your knee. A lot of Tai Chi practitioners injure their knees.
So what would your advice be if for someone, let's say he or she wants to learn martial arts, but the only available place to learn that is with a Taoist or a Buddhist sifu?
So you have to decide whether when you go in and train, are you required to participate in the religious rites? If you don't participate, you're not giving face and you're shaming that grandmaster, and you're caught in a very difficult situation. So there are things you can avoid, but those are actually more Chinese religious stuff and piety stuff rather than anything to do with martial arts.
There was a lecturer in my school who, with regards to yoga, and obviously would apply as well in this case, is he gives this analogy about how you know that your neighbor has a dog who bites, and you would never venture into your neighbor's garden because the dog is always there, and it's dangerous. Now, one day you don't see the dog, nor do you hear the dog, but would you still dare to go over to his garden? And his advice would be, you won't, because just because you don't see the dog or hear the dog, you wouldn't venture over because he could still be there. And he used that analogy to talk about things like yoga, that just because it's practiced in studio and therefore, they don't use those terms anymore. It's no longer, it doesn't seem spiritual anymore. But to be safe, you don't want to venture in because you don't know what you're walking into. Yeah. So how would you address, someone who feels that way or think that way?
Many of us, when we first converted, have families, households, homes where we live in, where there's an altar there. You can then say, there's an altar there, I'm going to leave my home, I'm not going to stay there. Or I will find some way to navigate that and not being forced to pray to the idols because my parents make me, and still take Christians then, and still live out Christianly. You see, multicultural Chinese have the ability to navigate that because we are forced into kind of situations. So the analogy fails because it doesn't understand multiculturalism. And multiculturalism can operate in that way. So I can know how to disagree with people without offending them and not compromise my faith because I have to operate in all this multicultural, multi-religious context.
As you were saying, the spiritual element is not so much inherent in the practicing of it anymore. But when you look at how it's portrayed in popular culture, do you think that it's now bringing back the religious element into it? Does this sort of perpetuate the problem that Christians are concerned about because they see on a movie, that someone is practicing martial arts and it's got this spiritual element? Is pop culture creating a bigger problem for us in this way?
Well, pop culture always creates problems for us. So do we then push back? We of course push back and say, no, the reality is more complex. The reality is not like that. It's like not every Chinese knows martial arts. And we try to clarify firmly but nicely. But that's the reality because the Western media dominates the portrayal of everybody else.
So you're seeing that too. Would you agree that how martial arts is portrayed in popular culture has sort of reduced its authenticity?
Firstly, if you watch the Ip Man movies, right, nobody fights like that. In Ip Man movies, you see the techniques very clearly. In a real fight, nobody fights like that. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that people who train martial arts mostly cannot fight in the real fight because number one, they are training for health. And number two, they don't do sparring, especially Tai Chi people, if they don't do sparring.
Oh man, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore.
Now, if you are going to do it, then you have to find a studio that actually does sparring, treasured sparring.
Right. What's the point of learning martial arts if I'm not going to use it to like beat up someone?
Well,
that's not going
so
to the
violent,
recording.
You're so violent. Okay, the one thing is that
I'm a woman. I have to defend myself. It's a hard world out there, Pak Wah.
Okay, martial arts only kicks in when you are this desperate situation where you're cornered, that you have left to no choice. Then maybe you have to go at it. But then if you didn't do any sparring, it's not going to be any good also.
If you have done Tai Chi, you'll be very slow.
Yes.
Okay, actually not true also. So
I know it's a stereotype. It's the generalization of what Tai Chi is.
Okay, there's a phrase that the Tai Chi practitioners use, 慢练快打.
Yeah.
Meaning you train slowly in order to move fast.
Well, we want to thank you, Pak Wah, so much for, again, another round of invaluable insights. Thank you for debunking so many stereotypes and myths for us. It's been great to have you here at CantoSense. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So for those of you who are interested in martial arts or have thought maybe you want to take it up for health reasons, wellness, exercise, if you're a follower of Jesus, it's okay to engage in martial arts. And also another great reminder of just being careful how we take in representation from pop culture. The way that movies portray things like martial arts or even Chinese culture may not be and often isn't accurate. So at CantoSense, we hope to see you again soon. God bless.